Robert Walton writes to his sister about his journey to the North Pole. He starts by telling her that everything is going well, and he is excited about the adventure. He has prepared for the cold and is ready to face the challenges of the journey. However, as he travels further north, he feels lonely and wishes he had someone to share his experience with. After some time in Archangel, Walton and his crew set sail, but they get stuck in ice and fog. One day, they see a giant man on a dog sled, and when they rescue him, he is very weak and thin. The man is from Europe, and he has been chasing someone who ran away from him. As he recovers, he refuses to share much about his story, but Walton is intrigued by him. The stranger becomes stronger, but he remains quiet and distant. Walton becomes fond of him, admiring his gentleness and wisdom. One day, Walton tells him about his own dream of reaching the North Pole, and the stranger reacts with sadness, warning him that pursuing such goal can lead to madness and loss. The stranger reveals that he once had a close friend who is now lost to him, and he feels doomed to be alone. He says there's only one thing left for him to do, and after that his life will end. He promises to share his story with Walton soon, and Walton plans to write it down. Through all these letters, Walton expressed a mix of excitement, loneliness, and curiosity as he learns more about mysterious stranger he has rescued. Victor Frankenstein tells the story of his early life. He grew up in Geneva, Switzerland, in a wealthy and respected family. His father was known for helping others, including rescuing his future wife, Victor's mother, when she was left poor and alone after her father's death. Victor was their only child for several years. When he was 5, his parents adopted Elizabeth, a Swiss orphan girl. Elizabeth and Victor grew up as close companions, sharing a deep bond. While Elizabeth loved art and nature, Victor was curious about working of the world, showing early signs of his interest in science. Victor's family grew as his brother Ernest and William were born. He also formed a close friendship with Henry, who loved stories of heroes and adventure. Together with Elizabeth, the three had a happy childhood. Victor's interest in science began with reading old books about alchemy and magic. Though his father dismissed them as worthless, Victor continued reading them. Everything changed when at 15 he witnessed a lightning strike destroy a tree. A visiting scientist explained the power of electricity, inspiring Victor to study real science.
When Victor was 17, his parents decided to send him to a university in Germany. Before he left, Elizabeth fell ill with scarlet fever, and while she recovered, Victor's mother caught the disease. She knew she was dying and expressed her wish for Victor and Elizabeth to marry someday. She passed away quietly, leaving the family devastated. At the university, Victor met two science professors, Dr. Grampe, a rude and dismissive man, criticized Victor's interest in outdated book on magic and told him to start over. Dr. Waltman, on the other hand, was kind and inspiring. He acknowledged the value of the old writings as the foundation of modern science and encouraged Victor to study all branches of science. Dr. Waltman took Victor to his workshop, showed him his machine, and gave him a list of books to read. Victor was deeply inspired and devoted the next 2 years to intense scientific study. His work in chemistry gained him recognition at the university. Victor became obsessed with the idea of creating life. After studying biology and death, he realized he could bring life to dead bodies. Driven by this discovery, he decided to create a human, believing that new scientific advancement would help him success. To make his creation, he stole body parts from grave and worked in secret. His obsession consumed him, leading him to ignore his health, family, and friends as he isolated himself to focus on his project. Despite the horror of his action, he continued, determined to success.
Over a year passed as Victor continued his work on his great project. His father wrote him letters expressing concern, but Victor was too consumed by his work to reply. Then, one stormy November night, Victor finally completed his creation. As he brought the creator to life, it opened its yellow eyes and breathed heavily, but Victor was horrified by what he had done. The creator's appearance was monstrous and all the beauty he had imagined vanished. Filled with disgust, Victor fled his workshop and spent the night in a restless state, unable to sleep. He had a nightmare where he saw Elizabeth, but as he held her, her face turned dead, and it morphed into his mother's corpse. He woke up to find the creator looming over him, and in panic, he ran from the room and out of the house. Victor wandered aimlessly until he encountered his friend Henry, who had come to study at the university. Seeing Henry made Victor forget about the monster for a moment, and he felt joy for the first time in months. Henry expressed concern for Victor's health and told him that his father and Elizabeth were worried. Victor took Henry to his house, relieved to find that the creator was not there. However, during breakfast, Victor's fear and madness returned. He had a fit of laughter and cried out in terror, believing the monster had come back. Henry took care of Victor, who fell into a deep. When Victor recovered, he avoided science as it reminded him of the monster. Instead, he studied history and language with Henry. After 6 years away, Victor looked forward to returning to Geneva, expecting a joyful reunion with his family. However, he did not know that something terrible awaited him at home. Victor Frankenstein received a letter from his father informing him that his youngest brother William has been murdered. He rushes home to Switzerland, and on his way to his father's house, he sees the creator he created near the spot where William's body was found. Victor realizes that the monster is responsible for William's death but feels helpless, knowing that no one will believe him. When Victor arrives, he learns that Justine, a young woman adopted by the family, has been accused of the murder after a pin which William had been wearing was found in her pocket. Despite Victor's belief that Justine is innocent, she is convicted and hanged for the crime. Victor is consumed by guilt, knowing that his creation is to blame for the deaths of both his brother and Justine.
One day, Victor decided to climb a high mountain near his house. That morning, it rained, but Victor didn't care and continued his journey. It was almost noon when he looked down at the beauty below him. Then suddenly, Victor saw a human figure climbing toward him. How fast he moved without caring about the risk of falling. As he got closer, it turns out that what Victor saw was a monster. He shouted, "You devil, how dare you approach me? I'll kill you, I'll destroy you, you monster. If killing you brings back the people I love, I'll kill you 1,000 times." The monster didn't try to hurt him. He just smiled evilly and said, "People always hate lowly and unlucky people, and I am the unluckiest creature in the world. Frankenstein, you are my creator, but you hate me. You and I are bound together forever until one of us die." The monster also threatened Victor that the monster would kill my remaining friends. Victor became very angry. Monsters say even a man on trial gets a chance to tell his story. No one loves me. Everyone is against me. And it's not my fault. You have to listen to me. Victor thought about what the monster said. He had to listen to what the monster had to say. The monster tells Victor to follow him, and he is taken to an old hut. The creature described his early life, starting with being born fully grown but still feeling like a baby inside. He didn't understand why people ran away from him, and he learned hard lessons such as the dangers of fire and how to survive alone in the woods. He found a small cottage where a family of three, an old man, a young man, and a young woman lived. The creature secretly watched them, learning about their lives and their struggles. He learned to speak and understand their language, and over time he grew fond of the family. The family, the lazy, were once wealthy but became poor after helping a friend. The creature also learned about love when a woman named Safi came to stay with them, and by watching Felix teach her, the creature learned to read and write.
After learning to read, he finds 3 books and learns about the world, human emotions, and history. One book makes him think about God, Cretan, and his own maker, Frankenstein. He discovers Frankenstein's journal and learns the truth about how he was created, which makes him angry and full of hate for his creator. Feeling lonely and rejected, the creator decides to speak to the lazy, a blind man in the family he has been secretly observing. He hopes the lazy's blindness will allow him to be judged for his character, not his appearance. The creature nervously knocks on the door and talks to the lazy, sharing his fears about being rejected by the family. Just as the lazy begins to sympathize with him, the rest of the family comes home. They are horrified when they see the creature. Agatha faints, Safi screams, and Felix attacks him with a stick. Heartbroken, the creature runs away, realizing he can never be accepted by humans. The monster begins by explaining how he spent a night hiding in the woods, reflecting on how he had made a mistake when he spoke to the old man the lazy, and how we should have approached him more carefully. He regrets not doing this sooner and believes things should have been different. After the lazy family moves away, the monster feels completely alone again. He becomes angry and burns down the cottage where they lived. The pain of his loneliness turns into a desire for revenge against Victor Frankenstein, who he blames for his suffering. He finds Victor's notebook and learns that he lived in Geneva. So the monster sets out on a long journey to Switzerland, enduring hardship and near death to get here. In Switzerland, the monster saves a little girl from drowning, but when she sees him, she screams in fear, and a group of men attacks him. He is shot in the shoulder but manages to escape, so determined to punish Victor. After months of walking, the monster reaches Geneva and hides near a lake, brooding over everything that has happened to him. One day, he sees a young child, a beautiful boy, and hopes he can talk to him since children are often more trusting. But when the boy sees him, he screams and tries to escape, shouting that his father is Mr. Frankenstein. This makes the monster furious. He kidnaps the boy, But when the child continues to scream, the monster becomes enraged and accidentally kills him. At first, he feels regret, but soon his anger takes over, and he celebrates his revenge. As he looks at the child's coat, he finds a pin with a picture of a woman on it, which briefly shoots him. He then becomes bitter again, realizing that no woman could ever love him because of his appearance. He later finds a young woman sleeping in a barn and consumed with anger. He decides to frame her for the boy's death by painting the pin in her pocket. The monster has been staying near Geneva ever since, and now he confronts Victor, declaring that he will never leave him alone. He demands that Victor create a female monster, a wife for him, so that he will no longer be alone. He threatens to make Victor's life miserable by bringing pain and suffering to everyone Victor loves unless he agrees to his request.
After doing all the plans, the creator met Victor. He followed Victor running up the mountain. Arriving at the top of the mountain, the monster spoke to Victor that he had to create a wife for him so that he would not feel lonely. The monster promised that he would not bother Victor and his family anymore. He will take his wife away from him. Victor agreed with that. He decided to seek knowledge again because he had met the creator for quite a long time, and it was quite difficult for him to remember everything he created. However, Victor felt doubtful. He always thought about what kind of negative impacts will arise when he met another terrible monster. Victor realized that the monster had always been watching him from the beginning when he met his wife. However, in the end, Victor decided to destroy the monster. The monster entered the room full of angels. He felt betrayed by Victor. The monster said that he would take revenge on Victor's wedding day later. Victor went to take his small boat to the sea. Victor rowed for hours because he felt tired. Victor sat back to rest for a few minutes. He fell asleep. When he woke up, a storm had come. He could not see land. Victor did not know where he was. When the next day he saw land, however, a man came to him. "Come with me right now," he said. "I will take you to the judge, then to prison." Victor was confused. What happened? Victor arrived at the judge's office. The judge explained that they found a handsome man 25 years old, dead on the edge of the water. At first, they thought he died from drowning, but it turned out to be wrong. Then they invited Victor to visit the man. Victor was shocked. He is hungry. The monster had killed his best friend. Victor fainted and fell to the floor. Victor woke up from his sleep and realized that he was in prison. Then, a few moments later, his father came to free him and they sailed in Paris. At that time, Victor received a letter from Elizabeth, then replied to her by telling her that he would marry her soon. Victor and his father returned to Geneva. They held a beautiful wedding. After getting married, they left for their honeymoons. They arrived at the hotel at 8 p.m. At that time, the sound of thunder rumbled. When Victor was in the basement, he heard Elizabeth's voice. Then he ran upstairs to check. Elizabeth was lying. She has died. There were fingerprints that were reflected. At that time, Victor looked up. Lightning struck the window, and there, the figure of the creator was visible. The evil creator smiled. Victor shot his gun at him but missed. Victor feels very sad. He has been mentally ill for 2 months. After recovering, he is determined to chase the monster and kill it. He will spend the rest of his life trying.
Victor decided to leave Geneva forever. However, before he left, he visited the graves of William, Elizabeth, and his father. While he was there, the sound of the creature was heard. He was sad for Victor. Victor saw the creature, but the creature ran very fast and disappeared just like that. Since that day, Frankenstein continued to kiss the creature. Every time he felt desperate, he remembered the people he loved. Their pursuit reached the Black Sea. The creature continued to follow Victor secretly. As he went further north, he found one last note from the creature. Be prepared, the worst is still ahead of you. Wear warm clothes and prepare food. We are going to a cold and frozen place. I will laugh when you suffer. Victor and the creature headed north. Just as he approached, it broke. The cold blue water was between Victor and the creature. Not long after, he disappeared. Victor did not see him again since then. He floated on ice shark for weeks. Victor's health declined. He was getting sicker and thinner every day. He was too weak. He didn't seem to care whether he lived or died. The ice around me and Victor broke. I approached Victor and imagined that I would go home and cancel my dream. Victor agreed to it and said, "Hope you are well, Walton." He tried to get out of bed, but he was too weak. He fainted for a while. Then, when he woke up, he sent a message, hoping I could continue hunting the creature. Then his voice disappeared. Victor Frankenstein, he died. I heard something like a human voice. I checked it out, and when I returned to the room, I was shocked. The terrible sounds I heard come from the creature. His hair was long, black, shiny, and messy. One hand reached out as if to touch Victor. The creature lay on the corpse and said, "Frankenstein, I'm sorry. I apologize for all the death I have caused you, but you can hear me now." The creature screamed sadly. "Regret won't help," I said. Then the creature explained that he had failed all this time. He said that he regretted what he did. "Liar," I said. "You regret it because it's all over. You can't hurt Frankenstein anymore. He's at peace. You can contact him. That's all you regret." He answered my statement, explaining all the sadness and goodness of his life before he turned into an evil creature. I stared at the creature. I wondered if I should do what Frankenstein asked. So I killed this creature, but I didn't have a gun, knife, or sword, and the creature was too strong. "Don't worry," he said to me. I came to the ship on a floating iceberg. The iceberg is still on the side of your ship. I will drift onto the land of ice and snow. Without food, I will die. I will die as I live, alone, without love and held by everyone. The creature looked at Frankenstein's body. "Farewell, my creature," he said. "I have made your life a living hell. However, it was nothing like the hell I had to go through." The creature jumped through the open cabin window. It landed under a chunk of ice. The creature was immediately carried away by the current and disappeared into the darkness.